You're watching Capitol View, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Arkansas.
Well, ballot issues are sprouting up everywhere for 2024. What is definitely on the ballot? What could be on the ballot? What is probably not going to be on the ballot? Here to break all of this down for us is Kristen Netterstrom Higgins. She is with the University of Arkansas Cooperative Extension Service. You also wear a hat as Arkansas Presswoman too, but you're here for the Extension Service today.
Yes, today I am.
All right.
For sure.
First of all, let's talk about what the Extension Service does in terms of ballot issues and the information and education that you guys provide.
Well, since 2004, we have published information on all of the statewide ballot issues, whether it's a constitutional amendment, a referendum, a state law. And so we put information out there that's accessible for voters to better understand what they're being asked to vote on. They get an idea of what the ballot title will look like, because as you know, some of those can be quite long.
Yes.
It gives them a time to, before they get to the voting booth, to look it over and go, okay, what is this about? What do supporters say? What do opponents say? And so we publish that every time we have a statewide election, have lots of information on our website. We have a monthly newsletter that goes over what's going on. So it's a year-round educational effort.
And I will say too, it's always unbiased and balanced, and you explained even when there's different positions on some of these issues, you guys will even lay out the arguments of those that support it, those that oppose it, and I think
a little bit what's unique about the information we put out is that we ask supporters and opponents to review the information before we publish our voter guide, so they have an opportunity to make sure that we are being as neutral as possible. So that's a great part of the process.
Yes, well, you'll still get raked over the coals by some, I'm sure, so even with that caveat there. All right, Attorney General Tim Griffin rejected a couple of constitutional amendment proposal ballot titles this week. I want you to kind of explain to me what they are trying to accomplish. Let's go with the first one, which dealt with reproductive freedom, the issue of abortion.
Right, so that one was a proposal. It's a proposed constitutional amendment. All of the ones that were rejected this week were amendments. So this looks to put in the Constitution wording that would prohibit the government from penalizing, prohibiting, delaying access to abortion services up to 18 weeks from conception. And so in addition to that, it would also allow pregnant women to have access to abortion if there is a fetal anomaly for their health, or if that pregnancy was a result of a rape.
And this is something that you've seen in some other states too, so that this is not going to be an uncommon.
It's a national issue that we're dealing with in Arkansas.
All right, another rejection of a ballot title dealt with paper ballots and absentee ballots. Kind of what was the aim of this group? What is this group aiming to do?
Well, we've seen since 2020 there's some interest in election.
Just a little bit?
Just a little bit in elections and how they are conducted. And within Arkansas, we've had some quorum courts asked to move to paper ballots. So there is a group that is working now at the state level to require all elections take place by marking it with a pen or with ink on paper, and then having people assist in the counting of that. So what we would think about that is not voting on electronic voting machines, or not having those electronic machines doing the counting and having that human backup.
Yes, that will prolong the vote count for days, if not longer. My editorial on that there. We'll see where that goes. But all right, Tim Griffin's office also received paperwork this week for a proposed constitutional amendment that would embed the Freedom of Information Act into the state constitution. There will be a follow-up initiated act that will have a lot more details in it. Explain to people this working group, what's at work, and what their aim is.
Well, what was a little unique about this proposal is that a group of people, lots of different organizations, a lot involved in the media, got together to talk about this with public. They held public meetings on their proposals, and that they're calling it the Transparency Amendment, not the Freedom of Information Act, but transparency. And they want to make sure that in the Constitution there is a policy of openness and requests for public records, public meetings, public notice, that is I say more transparent, but what they actually define in the proposal, what they mean by that. And so anytime the state legislature would want to pass a law or a bill that would, in their minds, weaken transparency or lessen transparency, they would have to refer that to the voters to decide.
Yeah. I'm not and one of the things I don't understand that I'll ask the supporters of that amendment to explain it sometime is how do you determine if you think who's going to determine if they think it's going to weaken the Freedom of Information?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah.
So in the act that they're wanting to do, that they haven't submitted yet, they call for creating a commission that would help the public access materials or documents that they're wanting to get.
And we should see that act out, I think, in pretty short order there. All right, Attorney General Griffin he has actually approved a measure. I think that's the only one that he's approved for, I think it's an initiated act that would exempt sales tax on many feminine hygiene products as well as diapers.
Right.
Yeah, explain that one to people that haven't probably picked up the paper and read about that yet.
Well, if you buy feminine products or diapers in Arkansas, every time you pay a sales tax at the state level and at the local level. And so this group is pretty straightforward in that they're wanting a state law, not a constitutional amendment, but a state law to go into effect that would remove the sales tax at the state and local level from purchasing period products, tampons, menstrual cups, as well as diapers for children and adults.
Which, again, I'll editorialize, will probably give it broader appeal, just because how could you be against babies? I mean, come on. So,
well, and just to add, there was a proposed state law that would have done that, and it didn't get out of committee. Right. So this kind of follows up on that.
All right, the Arkansas legislature did refer just one proposed constitutional amendment, which might be a record for them. I feel like there was a year where nothing got referred, but it would have been a long time ago.
Not since 1986 have they only referred one.
All right.
Now, whether you've seen it on the ballot is another story. It's just what they've referred, 1986.
The one that they referred deals with expanding scholarships for the Arkansas Lottery.
Right, so voters in 2008 overwhelmingly approved a constitutional amendment to allow lotteries in Arkansas, and at that time the proceeds were supposed to be for our traditional 4-year colleges, 2-year colleges, and this proposed amendment, because it's already in the Constitution, they have to bring it back. It would expand that to VOTEC schools.
Yep. All right, let's talk a little bit, because I think we've hit on all of them that are floating out there. Is there more?
There's one more that was rejected.
Right.
There was one more that was rejected. That was the absentee ballot, the absentee voting proposal, also by Conrad Reynolds, that was rejected this week. And
he brought the paper ballot one.
Right, he brought both of them, and that one was rejected.
What's he proposing on absentee ballots?
Well, so that would put in the Constitution a process for absentee voting. Right now, we have a litany of different requirements that you go through to request an absentee ballot, to receive it, to turn it in. This would establish that in the Constitution, that only the person who is requesting, only the voter, could receive the ballot and handle the absentee ballot. And the paper issue would also prohibit online voting. What's a little unique about this one is it would allow people to use absentee voting if they're incarcerated or if they're hospitalized. Right now, state law doesn't allow for that.
It'll be a lot to absorb as we go forward. We'll see what makes the ballot. We'll probably have you come back once, maybe when things are a little more defined as to what's going to be out there, what actually may collect. But I do have a little bit more question for you. Just for people that don't understand, we got about a minute left. There's different ways that these constitutional amendments and initiated acts can work. The legislature can refer. I'll let you explain the rest.
Okay, so the legislature has the ability to refer 3 constitutional amendments to voters to decide, whereas Arkansas is one of 15 states where citizens have the ability to ask voters to approve a constitutional amendment, a state law, or a referendum. So we're a little unique in the Southeast. We're the only one in the Southeast that has that citizen initiative process that's that broad.
Let's keep it intact. Kristen, thank you so much for being here. I'll give you one last chance to plug the website.
Oh, sure. uaex.edu. I'm sorry, uaex.uada.edu. We added something since the last election.
All right, but you could Google UA Cooperative Extension Service.
Ballot issue, education.
Issues, and you'll find it. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.